Hi everyone, and welcome to business update of Robocash platform and Robocash group for the first quarter of 2021. I'm Grigorii Shikunov, Deputy CFO of the Robocash group, and in the coming 30 to 40 minutes, I will cover the key highlights in Robocash operations and answer your questions. I know it's Saturday, and we all have plans for the weekend. So I will try to be as short as possible and cover as much of essential information as possible. So let's switch to the presentation itself right now. Wow. Here we go. First of all, I must say that the first quarter of 2021 was a very successful one for both Robocash Group and the Robocash platform. We have nearly doubled the amount of new investors on the platform, and we are happy to greet everyone who joined us during this first quarter. I believe you made the right choice, and we are very happy to see you on board. We have increased our net deposits almost by 50%, and we observed a steady growth in the amount of funded loans for the platform. Apart from financial metrics, we had some pretty solid events in the first quarter. We updated the site design, which didn't come unnoticed among our investors. We held an anniversary rewards program. We celebrated 4 years of operations of Robocash. We added a new loan originator from Kazakhstan, and this was pretty anticipated event as far as I know, and investors show some good interest in loans from this originator. We have record amount of net deposits in 1 month. Net deposits is essentially a difference between the money investors deposit on the platform and withdraw from the platform. And 1.8 million means that investors add funds to the platform at a very good and steady pace. So speaking about records, we have over 10 million loans funded on our platform in 1 single month, and we have a new record of new onboardings of 893 users joining us in 1 month. All this means we are growing steadily, we are growing healthy, and once again, we welcome our new investors, and we are very grateful to the investors who are staying with us all these years. Concerning the Robocash group, we had a pretty solid quarter as well, with the number of registered customers in the first quarter reaching 1.4 million. Some good growth in issued principal in first quarter of 2021 alone. The revenues also, we show the 58 million of revenues in first quarter, which roughly the half of what we showed for the full year of 2020. Remember last time we were talking about doubling the metrics, the financial results in 2021, and we feel that we are on track to reach this target. Net profit, 7.6 million in Q1. It lags a little bit behind the pace of revenues, but this is normal because first you grow revenues and you grow the issuance, and then profit follows when the portfolio matures. And our total assets also continued healthy growth, completing this pretty solid first quarter for the whole Robocash group. And some big metrics. Issued principal grew by 35%. Our registered customers increased by 41%, and revenue grew by almost 50%. Coming again to milestones and achievements of the Robocash group, a pretty impressive achievement is $1 billion of loans is issued by the group from inception. $1 billion. That's a noticeable number from any perspective. Zymer, the group's business in Russia, became #1 in 5 ratings of a big rating agency, well, the most famous Russian agency, the Expert RA, they published the ratings for the 2020, and Rob Zeimer took #1 in 5 categories. This is pretty impressive. Also, in the first quarter of 2021, Zeimer issued bonds for the first time in its history, and this is part of our strategy to attract funds from the outside investors. We plan new issuances. We noted that in previous business update, and we're still planning, and I believe that in the second quarter we will report another bond issuance for the group. Zeimer Kazakhstan, the business in Kazakhstan, is moving rapidly with very healthy growth in issuance, and the growth is profitable. And in Spain, we're also setting records with 33% growth in loan disbursements. So, like I said, the first quarter was pretty successful for both the platform and the group. So that's it for the information we would like to share on our side, and we're coming to the juicy part, the questions and answers we have received from you, our investors, prior to this business update. The first one, well, it's a tricky one. Why should I invest in Robocash and not on other popular platforms? What makes Robocash unique? Well, in short, Robocash offers very attractive balance between risks and returns on investment. Well, investing is always a trade-off between risk and returns. If an investor looks for high returns, they must accept more risks. If investor doesn't want to accept high risks, they should be ready to accept lower returns. That is true in general, and we'll come back to this during this presentation. And it is true for the peer-to-peer platforms in particular. The platforms which offer higher returns usually bear more risks for investors, and the platforms which offer less risks usually offer lower returns. So our offering is unique in a way that we offer higher rates than the most of the stable platforms do, and we offer less risk than most of the high-paying platforms do. And what enables us to offer the decreased risks among the very competitive interest rates is that Robocash platform only offers loans generated by members of Robocash group. And the group has full access to the operational and financial information of its lending companies, and it can take any necessary measures in advance to prevent undesired events and to protect investors' funds. So this works because on the Robocash platform, we have never experienced a default of loan originator. And speaking about the Robocash group, well, it's a well-known group with over 7 years of experience in alternative lending. It is profitable, it is under leverage, and this enables the group to guarantee the repayments of all its liabilities to investors. So coming back to the question, why should I invest in Robocash and not on the other popular platform? Well, you may consider the attractive combination of returns and risks which we offer. Next question is, it's great to see the financial statement, but the auditor's comments should also be published. Are you planning to do this? Well, we have provided the auditor's opinion along with summary combined financial statements for the year 2020, and I'm proud to say that this is an unqualified opinion, which confirms that financial statements are free from material misstatement, meaning they are true, and that our internal controls are effective. So, having said that, the auditor's opinion is only part of a big paper known as auditor's report, and we do plan to publish the full auditor's report as part of information disclosure during the IPO, but not prior to that. Next question. Can you confirm that all loan originators on the platform do belong to the consolidated scope of the financial accounts. For Kazakhstan, the former loan originators did not. Okay, the short answer is yes, they do. All the loan originators on the platform do belong to the consolidated scope of the financial accounts. So we have currently 4 loan originators at the Robocash platform, and they are fully owned by the Robocash group. They are fully controlled by the Robocash group, and their financial results are included in the audited combined financial statements of the Robocash group for the year 2020, including the company MFO Robocash KZ LLC, our new loan originator from Kazakhstan. Well, this means that the long answer to the question is also yes. Are you planning to offer loans on new contracts in the short term? The short answer here is no, we don't. This year, we have already introduced 2 new loan originators on the platform, the 2 being RC Riga Kazakhstan, which we mentioned just now, and UnaPay from Philippines. And UnaPay, the Philippine loan originator, comes with 2 products which are brand new for the platform: the salary loans and buy now, pay later installment plans, also known as an abbreviation BNPL. So right now, we have no plans to introduce any new loan originators on the platform in the near future, but we obviously will do that in the longer scope. How is coronavirus affecting the business, and what are the perspectives for the future? Well, things like pandemics and lockdowns and etc. are outside of our control. So what we can do is daily routine of minimizing the amount of bad loans while growing our consumed customer base. And historically, we have been pretty good at that. And essentially, this is the core of our value proposition on the platform. We are passing the value created by our know-how to our investors. And with this strength and our proven flexibility, we believe that we can navigate any crisis to come, almost any. Destruction of planet will probably be hard to overcome. So next question is, what guarantees does Robocash give in case a loan originator defaults? What safety precautions are taken if there is a stock market crash and customers no longer meet their payment obligations? Okay, here I'll reiterate the essence of our 30-day buyback guarantee, which protects investor from the risk of the borrower, not loan originator, but the borrower not paying the loan back. This guarantee is offered by a loan originator, and it ensures that investors always get the principal and the earned interest, even if the borrower is unable to repay the loan. This is not the way most all the buyback guarantees works. In some cases, buyback guarantee will only cover the principal, but not in our case. In our case, in case of Robocash platform, buyback guarantee covers both principal and earned interest in case the borrower defaults. And happy to report that our buyback guarantee has been working flawlessly ever since the platform was launched 4 years ago, and our investors always receive the principal and the interest. Then there's another layer of protection, which is group guarantee. Robocash Group guarantees obligations of its loan originators by direct participation in capital, and that's the surest form of guarantee possible. And like I mentioned, we have the advantage of closely monitoring the loan originator's financial flow, so we can see any possible threats to investors' funds and take measures to protect the funds in advance. Next question, when will a mobile app be available? Well, there is no fixed date for mobile app, but there are plans to develop one, not in the near future, but certainly in the farther future, we will offer a mobile app as well, because we see it as an enhancement to user experience on our platform. Well, stay tuned, but it is in the plans, but not in the near future. Is the Robocash IPO still planned for second half of the 2021 at Australian Stock Exchange? Well, there are plans for IPO of Robocash Group, but this will take place not earlier than 2022. We haven't fixed the date yet. We're also researching other venues to hold the IPO and get the best valuation for the holding. So it's also worth noting that we are speaking about IPO of Robocash Group, not only the Robocash platform, which is part of the Robocash Group. All right, what is your balance sheet leverage, and from the external sources of funding, how is the percent of peer-to-peer bonds, banks, loans, etc.? Well, roughly speaking, if we look at the debt structure of the group at the end of first quarter of 2021, peer-to-peer financing accounts for 33% of attracted funds. Convertible loans from institutional investors and qualified investors stand at 31%. Loans from private investors stay at 13%. Bonds, a new source of funding for the Robocash Group, stand at 9%, and 5% of debt comes in form of loans from the founder. What is the current default rate for Robocash borrowers? Well, the short answer, on the group level, it's 12%. Obviously, it differs from market to market, and the general rule is that the more mature and the more regulated the market, the lower is default rate. For example, if we look at Russia, where the market is highly regulated and pretty mature, and which is very important, the interest rate, daily interest rate on personal loans are capped. We see default rates of roughly 7%. Comparing, for example, to Spain, where the regulation is much lighter, the rates aren't capped, and the market is less mature, we see the default rates of 18%. But it's worth noting that the rule of setting, of balancing the risks and rewards works here as well, because higher default rates mean higher risks, and higher risks usually mean higher returns. So the percentages on the interest rate on loans in Spain is much higher than the one in Russia. In Russia, it's currently capped at 1% per day, for example. Okay, sorry. I would like to know better the payday loan business and what Robocash means by commercial loans. Well, payday loans are consumer loans provided for a short term in a relatively small amount. Well, as the name implies, these are the money people take until the next payday. And there is a difference between the payday loans and salary loans. Payday loans is usually considered to cover only part of the salary, while salary loans usually amounts to this salary as a whole. But the dynamics is pretty close. So payday loans are usually very short in term, from 7 to 20 days. And this is the type of loans we offer in most of the markets we are present. Speaking about commercial loans, these are loans which are placed on the platform via a special purpose vehicle, the RC Riga, and the proceeds from these loans are used for the development of group businesses in respective markets, which is another way to say that the funds attracted through the SPV are used to fund consumer loans in a particular market. The difference is purely legal, because in some countries it is pretty hard to make a pure peer-to-peer loan. So we have to use an SPV to allow our investors to invest loans which we originate in the market, which is the case, for example, with Kazakhstan. So this is the difference. The use of the funds is all the same. We are funding the portfolio expansion. The difference between commercial loans and consumer loans on the platform is mostly in the form, not in substance. Do you plan to create a fully functional secondary market where we can see the available loans played for sale by other investors with premium, par, and discount prices? Well, we have introduced an updated secondary market in April this year, and at the moment we haven't considered any further changes. However, we will consider the suggestion because we are constantly looking for ways to improve our product. Well, the financial reports of Robocash shared with investors are positive. Many new records are created with new customers, higher investments, and loans provided. If that is the case, why is the interest rate provided to investors reduced a few weeks before? And as the numbers of investors is growing, do you think that interest rate will continue to decrease? Well, short answer here is that our interest rate follows the financial markets, not the number of investors on our platform. Because, well, we operate in the financial market, we offer in a financial product, and the same rule of risks and returns applies to the financial market where we operate. Because the level of risks in financial markets has decreased significantly since the initial shock of the pandemics last year, and the returns have decreased as well to balance the decreased risk. And the latest adjustment in our interest rates reflects these market dynamics, not the dynamics of our customer base. And as the market as a whole continues to evolve, go up and down, the risks will certainly not stay the same forever. They will change. They may go down, may go up, and the returns in the broad market will also adjust to change in rate, the change in level of risks, and we will be adjusting our interest rates to be in the market. But doing so, we will also aim to keep our combination of risks and returns attractive to our investors, like we always did. So, in my opinion, the greatest risk for a Russian or perceived as a Russian company operating outside of Russia are sanctions. Oh yeah. What are we doing or planning to do to mitigate this risk? Thank you. Well, the strategy to mitigate country risk is to diversify, and the short answer to this question, to mitigate the possible risks of sanctions, we're growing more international. And currently we are international entity with legal entities registered in different jurisdictions, with offices across several countries, with a huge development and operational office in Russia, but with also huge offices in, for example, Latvia and offices in the markets where we're present, including Croatia, where the Robocash platform is incorporated. And as we plan IPO, when we make an initial public offering, we will we'll actually diversify ownership of the company and make it even more international. And these, we believe, will further mitigate the country risks, the risk placed on us because we have been founded in Russia, and we are perceived, partially at least, as a Russian company. So the short answer is that we are becoming more international, and IPO is one of the huge steps to mitigate this risk. Since MFC LLP Zymer is one of the important pillars of the Robocash group, it is regrettable that the 2020 balance sheet is only available in Russian as an image format. Could you please issue a format in English, or at least make the auditor's opinion in a copy-paste format? Well, traditionally, auditor's opinion is a paper document issued by the auditor, and Zymer simply doesn't have electronic version of this auditor's report. We only have a paper format. But the interest from European investors in English version is noted, and we will consider arranging a translation of auditor's opinion for the future reports. That point taken here. Do you plan to expand into more countries? Short answer is yes, we do on a group level, but in the nearest future, we do not plan to introduce new loan originators to the platform. Speaking about the group level, we do plan to launch an online lending service in Sri Lanka, and we are expanding our product line in the markets where we are already present. But like I said, we do not plan to bring new loan originators to the platform in the nearest future. Spanish loans in my portfolio tend to be late in percentages by over 50%. What is the default rate from Spanish loans, and should we be worried about loans from Spain? Well, short answer to the last question, no, you shouldn't be worried about loans from Spain, because like I mentioned, we do see higher default rate in Spain because the market is less regulated than most markets of our presence, and the interest rates are high, and the mentality is not so accommodating to timely payments mentality at the market. But like any other loan on the Robocash platform, loans from Spain are covered by buyback guarantee and then backed up by a group guarantee, which means that even in case the borrower from Spain defaults on their loan, the investor will get the principal and the earned interest from the loan originator through the buyback guarantee. Simple as that. So it may look like a worrying measure, the default rate, the delayed payments in Spanish loans, but essentially from investor point of view, the funds are safe and the interest is secured. So you shouldn't be worried about the loans from Spain. Please invest freely. Please think to put crypto loan land investment like euro, etc. Well, it feels like the 2017 all over again. Everyone speaks crypto and speaks the DeFi and all this kind of stuff. Currently, we do not plan to introduce any crypto products, neither on the group level, nor on the platform level. Simply because we believe that the risks associated with crypto, most of them, well, market risks, regulatory risks, and outright theft risks, because, well, like yesterday we had a hack of $200 million on one of DeFi protocols. So the risks is too high for our profile, and we do not want to expose our investors to this type of risks, at least now. But we do monitor the developments in crypto space, and as soon as there appears an opportunity which suits our risk appetite and our capability profile, we'll consider adding crypto products. Not in the nearest future, but we're still monitoring it. So the short answer to this question is we are thinking about it, but we will not be adding crypto products in the foreseeable future. How are loans provided at Robocash formatted? How do they arrive to Robocash? From what sources? Well, the loans are formatted by loan originators when they enter a loan agreement with the borrower. In this case, the loan originator gives the money to borrower, and the borrower takes an obligation to return that money to loan originator. And then the loan originator takes this obligation of a borrower to return the money and brings it to the platform. And there's a special agreement, some financial intermediary agreement with the platform, and places the loan for investors to invest their money into the claim on the borrower's promise to repay. So it may sound cumbersome, but essentially the platform operates like a marketplace where the loan originator is the seller and the investor is the buyer. And when the deal is concluded at the platform, the investor gives money to the loan originator in return of rights to get the funds repaid by the borrower. So which completes the process of investing into the loan originated by loan originator. So how they arrive to the Robocash? Well, electronically most of the time. They are uploaded and they appear at the marketplace. From what sources? From our loan originators, the 4 companies which I have mentioned previously, which are controlled by the Robocash group and which belong to the Robocash group. Most loans seem to originate from Russia and Kazakhstan. Do you see country risk, and is there a way to mitigate this? Well, the way to mitigate country risk, I'm not sure what country risk in this case is. Country risk would be that the country is switched off from financial facilities like SWIFT closure, but this is a very remote event in case of our markets. Maybe country risk is that the country will somehow adjust the regulation to prohibit the product we are offering, but this doesn't happen overnight. Usually there is a process of discussion of measures to curb the financing or introduce some new regulations. So again, this country risk is manageable simply because it doesn't happen abruptly. And speaking about risks of being indifferent of market risks in general, the standard strategy to mitigate the country risk or a market risk is to essentially diversify. And we are currently diversifying our markets because we grow the business in markets outside of Russia and Kazakhstan, and the share of Russia and Kazakhstan, well, especially Russia, started to decrease in the Robocash business. As we grow, the markets outside of Russia grow faster than the business in Russia itself, which is explainable because in Russia the market is very mature and the business is very mature. But there are countries with more potential, and we expect the trend to continue. Like I mentioned previously, we are becoming more international, and this is part of this process. We are less and less focused on Russia because business outside of Russia starts to grow very aggressively. So, what is your delayed rate since the beginning of your operations and in last year? Of the defaulted loans, what is the rate of recovered loans? So speaking of the default rate, we are now, like I mentioned, seeing the default rate of around 12% on a group level. Historically, it has been somewhat higher. And speaking about the percentage which is recovered from the defaulted loans, depends on the market and depends on the age of a loan. But in general, if the loan is over 180 days overdue in a PDL business, the chance of recovering the principal of interest is less than 2 or 1%. So, but that's a market metric. It is not unique to our business, simply the way things work. What is the proportion of skin in the game, and what proportion of loans from your originators do you finance through Robocash or any other financing method? So the short answer is our skin in the game is up to 60 to 70% at the loan originators, which offer loans on the peer-to-peer platform. I believe this is the most important metric for the investors. So this reflects the reality that we usually fund about 30 to 40% of the loans through the peer-to-peer platform, but this only applies to loan originators who obviously offer loans on a peer-to-peer platform. On a group level, the funds received through a peer-to-peer platform account for less than 15% of the total loan portfolio. So giving a short answer to this question, we have a lot of skin in the game. The proportion is high. What is the roadmap ahead for Robocash? Can one continue to invest in the platform going forward? And what is your further growth strategy? Well, the platform plans largely depend on further development of Robocash group. And I must say that peer-to-peer platform is a strategic source of funding for the group. which is why we pay so much attention to the platform and to our investors. As we plan to expand business and enter new markets, we will have more products that we can offer on a peer-to-peer platform for our investors. So the plan here is to continue group expansion and to continue increasing our product line on the platform. And the question, can one continue to invest in the platform going forward? Short answer here is yes. We are planning to continue the operations. We are planning to expand them, and we welcome both new investors to increase their deposits, and we are welcome new investors on the platform, like we had in first quarter, and we are looking forward to meeting new people and onboarding new people. So this completes the questions which we have received in advance, and I will now check if there are questions which we received during the webinar. Oh, there is one. What is the company's clean income? Well, apparently net income. Okay, here's the trick: is how we define a company. If we are speaking about Robocash platform, well, the number is irrelevant because this is not this is part of the group, and we are not focusing on profitability of the platform itself. We are focusing on the profitability of the group, and the net income for the group in 2021 is roughly $24 million. And in the first quarter of 2022, the net income of the group was standard at $7.6 million. So this is pretty solid, I would say. And this actually completes the questions and our business update. Thank again all of our investors. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for joining this webinar. And we will be happy to see you both on the platform on a daily basis and our next business update for the second quarter, which will take place somewhere in July or maybe August. Thank you for your attention, and let's have some fun this weekend. So thanks and goodbye.